Okay, good. It looks like you can hear me. I'm just not for certain. All right, so that's my bird back there making a ruckus. But beyond that, we should be able to make it. And I think it's just more so that she likes to hear herself. But so this story is about this right here. It says a man questioned in Pennsylvania, teacher's death convicted of friend's murder. And it says here it's been over 3 years and a half since Rochelle Del Tondo, and you have to excuse me if I mispronounced her name, a well-liked teacher in we're gonna we're gonna say town A in Pennsylvania was gunned down outside her home, and there is still no arrest in the case. There was initially several leads to follow, including the action of the high school athlete named Sheldon Geerter. The night of the okay, one moment. The text suggests that Jeter may have been trying to track her movements. He was obsessed with her. Rachel's mother had noted to 48 Hours that Sheldon Gilter, lawyer, said his client had nothing to do with Rachel's murder. There's no evidence that it was tied to the crime. And just in case if somebody was wondering, I'm just coming in here reading the news off. And then I plan on kind of like breaking it off into something something else. Okay, so I shouldn't have to answer the question to, why you want to get up in here and read the news. I mean, most adults, responsible adults, should know the answer to that, which is frankly to be informed of, what's going on. And I will say I probably mostly will pick up on issues that pertain to stalking. As you can see right here, she was stalked and then she was just gunned down. Then the past summer, Jetter was convicted of killing a different friend after a trip to get ice cream. With his arrest and conviction in that case, attention was again drawn to the unsolved murder of Rachel. The investigation right now is active. The detective prosecutors are working continuously, and so this was back in 2018. It says that the same sort of problems continue. You've got a department that's underfunded in the city that is underfunded. We're on to chief numbers 4 since Rachel had been murdered. So they're saying they're having staffing issues. But a lot of these women die and no one knows who killed them, and it's just because, like I was saying, the stalking laws are too stringent. If he had a clue that yes, women are protected under the law, and you can't just attack women at least, and then change the crime penalty to more than just a year. Some of these men that stalk like this are so gay, so actually putting them into jail is like a good thing for them. The only bad thing about it is that they don't want to fight those guys in prison, so they rather fight the women out here on the street and small kids as like uh, a sure way of not having to fight someone bigger than them. So women keep that in mind that. And so I believe that this is some more information. I'm going to go to the next story. We go here. So it's saying so we got 2 cases of Omicron variant in Ohio. Let's look at this one. It says the Department of Health said that the presence of the new variant was confirmed following geometric sequencing at the Ohio State University laboratory. Officials said the 2 adult males in Central Ohio were tested positive on December 7th, had both received 2 COVID-19 vaccination doses but hadn't gotten a booster. Both had mild symptoms that didn't require hospitalization. Neither had a history of international travel. Health Director Bruce Vanderhoff said officials had known that it would only be a matter of time until the variant was detected in Ohio, and he said people shouldn't lose sight of the fact that the earlier Delta variant continues to drive cases and hospitalizations very high. So more than 80 killed in Kentucky after the deadly tornado ripped across several states. Was that the number we had yesterday? More than 80 people killed in the tornado that ripped across several U.S. states late Friday. I know we've lost more than 80 Kentuckians. That number is going to exceed more than 100. This is the deadliest tornado event we've ever had. And it says Arkansas, Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, Mississippi, and Tennessee were struck by a series of dangerous storms and tornadoes on Friday night. Beshear declared a state of emergency, and President Biden said that FEMA is on the ground in each of the 6 states to assess the damage. So they are, so this is some of the area view of the damage from the tornado. So let's just look through here and see if there's any interesting stories to read. Reading is fundamental, is good. It helps to relieve stress. So, and plus, you may find out something that you never knew before. It says California would-be victim manages to get robbed. manages to get robbers' guns, uses it against them, shooting one dead. So that's interesting. Let's see what happened here. A mayor near the University of Southern California fought back against three armed would-be robbers, killing one of them with a gun they dropped during the altercation. Three armed men in their 20s exited a vehicle early Saturday morning in South Los Angeles and attempted to rob the unidentified man. An altercation broke out after the victim resisted complying with suspects. One of the suspect robbers then dropped his handgun and the victim picked it up and shot the suspect, according to police. The two others would-be robbers fled. The man who was shot was pronounced dead at the scene. I got so many windows I'm trying to separate here. Um, like I said, with people who are being stalked, do take it serious. Understand that they come off like they just kidding, but it's real big business in the United States. Is the number one human trafficker of the globe. So don't take it lightly. Like your life is not valuable. More is more valuable than theirs. So don't take it lightly. I mean, you need to get into military mode and be aware that they will put, and I don't know why this is the fact, but I don't know why so many guys that are willing to do bad stuff, or so many that's available to put out there to do bad things. So we all need to be very careful, not just women but men as well. Don't be that guy that they did whatever they had to do to get you out there fighting some female for you to be in jail. Because their goals with stalkers, their goal is just to mess up whatever you got going on. So if you're just trying to have a peaceful moment or just a train of thought, their goal is just to mess that up. And it's just to make you feel like a lot of hostility is around you. So you kind of feel like, um, they like to hear you talking about that situation. It makes them feel good. But stalkers really care about what other people think. So they don't want to be exposed. And they don't want you to talk about what they're doing wrong. They just want you to feel like you shouldn't be something. And then they wouldn't be so messed up in the head. And that's just not reality. But they will, do things like constantly, you know, prank call the emergency departments, anything that has sirens, prank call them on your street so that you can't hear yourself think. And then they'll have their buddies, or they'll even be riding in cars with the loud stereo systems or pipes or exhaust pipes. So don't beat yourself up about it. It's just a mental health issue. Now that person will have to die. They're not gonna stop. Do understand they get arrested and come out, they just gonna be full force back in action. Those kind of people literally they do have to pass away. If it's a stalker, they have to pass away. They're not gonna stop. It's not it's not something that it's kind of like people who are maybe scared of heights. So it's like they're like scared to not stalk. It's like a phobia. It's like they have a phobia. Like all things are possible through Christ, but a stalker and being a Christian are like all in vinegar. They don't mix. So you're not gonna have a Christian stalking nobody. But as we continue here, suspects. So I just say that because that's what that little window is. So to where, otherwise it'll be a lot of loud noises, and you will hear the stalker, and you won't know what's going on. So to help some people kind of put the pieces of puzzle together, you can see that okay, that's the actual vehicle. Someone may know who that vehicle belongs to, or know these individuals walking around, or whatever that they see right there up there in that top right corner. Please leave me a comment and let me know whatever. Um, just in case, you never know. Someone may wake up and notice that their car gone and just, triple over here into this live and say, hey, that look like my car right there. And it look like somebody is like slowing down in front. Like, that's my car. You know how you can recognize something that's yours. So let me know, man, because that's why I'm on here as well. It's just so other people can see what stalking is. And for me, it's hard for me to want to socialize with people unless it's like a necessary thing. It's hard for me to socialize with people because of the stalking. And you would think like, okay, just get another boyfriend and he'll, beat that guy up and blase blase. No, that's asking a guy to spend life in jail. And I'm not gonna be waiting for no darn body. And nobody should be doing that. That it's just crazy to put another man in a situation like that. I wouldn't want a man to put me in a situation where he has a knowingly violent stalker that has a attempted murder charge, has a charge of domestic violence. That means stalking, aka stalking, another word for stalking. And he also has tried to kill his mama. Why would I want to date a guy with a stalker like that? And then the other problem is females. I don't like females around me because that's even worse. He has a charge that says he abuses women. So, because I could pull his record up right here. And like I said, women, y'all got men in y'all lives, go ahead and look them up, first and last name, and just do a preliminary search. Find out what's on their background. Because when they got abuse, assault on a woman, and they got that on their charge, that may be a good indication that this individual is into specializing in taking advantage of women for money purposes. So that's not good. That's a good indication that that's the human trafficker. And like I said, drug trafficking, all that goes into the same boat. You can't just beat nobody. You gotta drug them, and you gotta harass them. It gotta be a whole complete 360. It's called organized crime, and it's called racketeering, RICO. And if it was a decent, I do think that because he assault people, that makes it hard to arrest him, because If he assaults you, understand that he's going to take your a copy of your driver's license and your home keys. And so there's some steps we could take with that I could put in Patreon so that y'all can see like ideas of what I saw other people do and the things that I researched. But women are, if you're being stalked, the number one thing you have to have is a gun. Even if you're not willing to pull the trigger, at least get the firearm and at least get some bullets so that worst case scenario, and it's your life and his, because it will come to that moment, because that's what a stalker does. You have to understand, a stalker does two things: put your life in danger and consistently stalks or predatory. That's just it. They're going to put your life in danger. That's the purpose of a stalker. They're going to put your life in danger. That's their purpose. Whether they're using other criminals and put them in front of you and say, hey guys, y'all want to get some crack? Well, come over here and go mess with her. And then go 2 houses over and mess with her. That's why you notice how people seem like they kind of sweep through neighborhoods. Now, this is just for the regular man. Now, rich people who have stalkers and live in gated communities, I haven't been fortunate enough to live in a gated community. So, but yes, I hear they get stalked as well, because everybody is human and humans have errors. Like, we are not error prone, but you know, we are subject to making errors. And in that case, you know, wait, let me see if I can fix this screen. One moment. Okay, we good. All right, so back to this story here. With the attempted robbery and then the dude was shot. It says attempted robbery in Los Angeles was numerous brazen theft case have plagued the city and other areas in the state. Most notably smashed and grabbed lootings. And be aware, if someone is stalking you, that means that this individual has given up their life for they not only have given up on their life, they have they have given up on life. And misery love company, they want to take you with them. All right, so we have to be aware that they'll come and act like they're cool with us. Hey man, they might even call you or try to knock on your door, and you'll be like, hey, that person ain't stalking me. They came around me with a smile. They even in some cases they even had relations with me at night, and brought me a this, that, and the third, and turn around and be stalking you. It's awkward to really be able to sit down and understand the maze of the mysterious mental health crisis in the black men community, but it's there and it's very silent, and it's a deadly genocide type of thing going on, to where it just looks like black women, we're kind of counting our days around here, because I think every black woman has a domestic violence case on somebody, some black man, and that's sad. That means she's being stalked by every black woman. Not every, but it's a good possibility that most black women, more than not, and I'm not saying this as if I want to prophesy. I'm saying this as in I want clarity for us to understand that we have to keep our lamps burning, our lights, our all lamps burning, and be aware. We don't want to be silly women that think that because this man was bad to me, the next man is going to be bad. it's too late in the game to feel like every man is bad, but we definitely don't want to take a chance with our home and our safety on whether or not the next man is a sham, a shankster, or whatever else you want to call it. Um, all right, so back to the back to where we were. Uh, as I was saying, all right, so that's why you do see a lot of stars be going live when they be in public. So, sisters, we're no different. We need to go live because if police don't have proof, and I think when it comes to stalking, they're not going to just arrest them, and it's very unfortunate. And then there's a time frame, like it needs to be 3 different instances um, to where you're being stalked, and then and then they're not going to just arrest them like that. But the law is after 3 unwanted contacts, they're supposed to be arrested. They're supposed to be arrested. But if someone is assaulting people left and right, it kind of takes on the narrative of, see, the police don't care about, women. That's not it. The man is willing to fight the police. You got resisting arrest, a charge. He got a resisting arrest, attempted murder, assault on a woman, domestic violence, and on and on and on and on every year. So the women don't feel like the cops don't care. Understand that he's gonna fight them as well. But he's doing whatever he's doing. That's just how he does. That's who he is. He's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You know, and they're living some kind of way. The black professional athletes and celebrities and the black elites, they work with these kind of stalkers, these Pookie and Ray Rays, because and don't let them in your home so they can live off of you, and groom you. You don't want to be groomed. So they're having a lot of problems in Los Angeles. Jeff Bezos, sometimes people are hated that have money, because they can't be touched and they're not a part of the scheme of things. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But technically, for me, he seems like he's a decent guy. The reason why I say that is because I believe he came from humble beginnings, but I'm not for certain. But I remember his site when I was trying to put some books on there myself before he started putting um, um, other merchandise on there, other categories. Like I think he was putting used clothes up there first, so he's kind of competing against eBay. But then he surpassed eBay because he had a better logistics, meaning he had better. I believe he had the reason why he exceeded eBay is I think quality. You have to have more checks and balances to get on Amazon versus eBay. So he's gonna. So sometimes when you see those rich guys and they kind of making them out to be look like, Count Dracula, be careful that that's just not the media trying to manipulate us. Okay, this says Louis as a Lou, excuse me. I think I'm a little thirsty. Louisiana woman drives to sheriff office and refuses to leave until she's arrested. Now, what does that sound like, guys? Like temporary insanity. I've been there where like someone can harass you so bad where you can't think. And they will tell you, go on down there, and then you went, and you like, well, and then you leave me alone. It seems like it, but that's not the case. You have to play your music over that stuff when they start doing that. You need to put it on live, or you will be somewhere looking like you took the red pill and checked out. Monroe, Louisiana, on Saturday, December 11th, deputies with the Old Chica Parish Sheriff Office was dispatched to the OPSO Annex regarding a trespassing complaint. Upon arrival, okay, so upon arrival, deputies were advised that 50-year-old Sharon Waitley or Watley of Eros had reportedly been told by the police to leave the parking lot and not return. Wiley had also been told by the deputies to leave the parking lot or she would be arrested. However, Wiley continued to tell authorities that she needed to turn herself in. After deputies found no warrants or reason for Wiley to be arrested, she was advised once again to leave the parking lot but refused and was arrested. Sharon Wiley was booked into the correctional center on one count of criminal trespass. So that's very interesting. Uh oh. So let's see what this. Oh my goodness. Road rage incites incident sees 12-year-old girl shot after mom parks at convenience store. A young girl was injured on Friday during a report road rage shooting at a convenience store in northwest Dallas, Texas. The police said that the 12-year-old girl was in stable condition after she was transferred to a hospital to treat her injuries. No details were reported on the severity of her injuries, and no arrests have been made. The shooting happened late Friday night when the mother was reportedly driving with her two children to the store, which is located near the. On her way to the store, the woman allegedly got involved in a road rage dispute with another driver in a red Dodge Charger. The female driver confronted the mother with a gun when they arrived at the convenience store, the police said. So let me read that again. Hold on. On her way to the store, the mom allegedly got involved in a road rage dispute with another driver in a red Dodge Charger. The female driver confronted the mother with a gun when they arrived at the convenience store. Another passenger in the Dodge Charger attempted to pull the woman into the car away from the mother, but the gun discharged at one point, striking the child. According to the police, the woman later fled the scene after the shot from her gun gun hit the girl. The police are currently investigating the scene near the convenience store. They are also reportedly investigating the location near a hotel. A numerous of incidents where went off and have been reported over the past few weeks across the nation. His college at Kentucky Dispatch Center. Both dispatch was trading firearms when one of the guns went off and hit the 23-year-old Kyle Garner. So that's a different situation. Then another incident with a gun in Georgia where the 3-year-old fatally shot the 5-year-old cousin using a handgun that belonged to the father. A non-incident shooting incident also happened in Georgia where a 12-year-old is being charged with murder after fatally shooting an 11-year-old on Thursday. The young boy has also been charged with aggravated assault, tampering with evidence, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, possession of a firearm under 18, and cruelty to children in the first degree. Additionally, during Thanksgiving week, a teen accidentally shot and killed a 5-year-old relative in Minnesota. The police said the teenager was attempting to make a social media video and that he was handling a gun at the time of the incident. And then we have some more. Do we want to see why this judge was removed? It said because of her behavior. Then we got a CNN staffer, John Griffin, charged with inciting mom's daughters into sexual activity. So does anybody want to pick, which story do y'all want to read first? The one about the judge, she's so beautiful, or the one about the CNN staffer trying to get the daughter to have sexual activities? I thought we was just supposed to say relations instead of saying sexual. For the kids that watch. But again, it's not a curse word. It's just kind of like the word ASS is not a curse word, but it's just not a nice, it's not like it's a formal word. I don't know. Anyway, which one y'all want to read first? I think we should click on the judge because it seems like there's a assault on women, kind of, and like I said, we have to be aware. Let's check out the judge and see what they mean by behavior. And this is just from the person who wrote this article perspective. That means if me and you was there, you would have a different perspective. I may have a different perspective than everybody, or maybe my perspective is like a couple of people over here, but different than a couple of people over here. So we're not saying that this is true. We're just acknowledging that I guess we could say definitely she was removed for her behavior. Now, whatever else this says is kind of like he say, she say, but to a certain extent, we can tell what's facts and not. To a certain extent, okay, she was removed, probably was removed. We could probably double check and see that for certain. But no, I'm not saying they're lying or anything. I'm just saying that this is filtered from their perspective. If you or I saw it, we may have different perspectives. So I say that because I'm not saying like this is true. we know when we read the news articles, sometimes they'll come back and redact it or retract it or whatever, correct it. And so here we go. An Alabama judge who handles domestic relation cases has been removed from the office after being accused of inappropriate behavior. The Alabama Court of Judiciary on Friday issued the order removing Nakia Blockton from her position as a circuit judge in Jefferson County. The panel said Blockton made derogatory comments about staff and other judge and used fake social media accounts to communicate with people in a case. The court ruled Blockton had demonstrated a pattern of inappropriate behavior in comments as well as patterns of deception and dishonesty. She is okay, so she's gonna appeal that, but let's read that again. Real short. Make sure we digest this. Let's go a little slow. An Alabama judge who handles domestic relation cases has been removed from office after being accused of inappropriate behavior. The Alabama Court of Judiciary on Friday issued an order removing Nakia from her position as a circuit judge. The panel said she made derogatory comments about staff and other judges. So she was saying mean stuff about folks. And so the question is, is that grounds for removal because you said something bad? Who knows? She said it says she's gonna it says that she's gonna appeal it. It says now this the part may not be professional enough. Fake social media accounts to communicate with people in cases. So who knows how that's gonna go, but hopefully it'll work out in her favor. Because nobody should get fired because you ain't like some people and you was trying to help somebody with a case. Some homeless mother about to get her and her 8 kids thrown out there in the streets because of a stalker. And she got a fake account and communicated with her and told her, hey, go down there and tell them that you want him arrested. And, who knows how that went, but we praying with her, that it'll work out in her favor. It'd be different if she was, it'd be different if she was like wrongfully convicting people because of their race. Because maybe she could go to a different, I don't know if she gets to go to a different county and just pick up on the judge stuff like that, or how that works. Or she, but let's see, the next verse says, urgent cola recall. If you have any of these sodas or juices, throw them away. Well, let's just take a peek at this real quick for those people who are in love with colas. Okay, following the Kool-Aid recall and more extensive Kraft Heinz drinks recalls from recent weeks, we have a few new recalls involving soda and juices. This time around, we're looking at 2 separate Coca-Cola recalls announcement impacting products like Minute Maid, Sprite, and Coca-Cola. Lots of these soda drinks and juices might contain foreign substances like metal. You should stop drinking any of the Coke, Minute Maid, and Sprite products in a recall and throw them away. So the first time around, we're looking at 2 separate Coca-Cola recalls announcement impacting products like Minute Maid, Sprite, Coca-Cola. Lots of these soda drinks and juices might contain foreign substances like metal. And it says you should stop drinking any of the Coke, Minute Maid, and Sprite products in the recalls and throw away any potentially contaminated products. So Minute Maid, berry punch, strawberry lemonade, fruit punch, um, Coca-Cola and Sprite, the 12 ounce, and that's the date. The Sprite 12 ounce. And we got exploding bottles. FDA late last month issues a recall for bottles of Canada Flash herb supplements from mountain mildew herbs. While most recalls we see are the results of a contamination issue, this supplement recall is a bit unique to say the least. Per the FDA, some Canada Flush bottles are prone to becoming pressurized during storage. As a result, opening impact bottles can pose a danger to users. So y'all be careful with this right here, the Mountain Dew herbs, Canada Flush endotoxin cleanse. I've actually never seen this. So this is not like a water bottle. Let's see if we can get a better picture of like what the color of the liquid look like or something. Oh, so it's just herbs. It's not really like a doesn't look like it. Oh, it's a pill. Okay, that's what it read. Like I don't know why I was thinking it was like a juice, like a vitamin water or something. Okay, and let's go back one. Costco warning to customers. Now I don't use Costco, so I'm gonna skip over that story. If y'all want me to read it, um, put it in the chat. New bacon law begin? California grocery restaurants seek delay. Uh-oh. See, I can't even talk about bacon because I have a problem with it. Let's look at this. Uh-oh. We might need to know about what they're talking about. Department of Homeland Security type cyber office official on Saturday urged government and private sector organizations to address a critical flaw in widely used software that hackers were actively using to try to breach networks. So it says here that um, cybersecurity and infrastructure security agencies ordered federal civilian agencies to update their software. Um, they warned of the vulnerability was being widely exploited by a growing set of hackers. The vulnerability is in the Java-based software known as Low J4 that large organizations, including some of the world's biggest tech firms, use to configure their applications. Apple Cloud Computing Service, security firm Cloudflare, and one of the world's most popular video games, Minecraft, are among the organizations that run Log4j, according to security researchers. The vulnerability can offer a hacker a relatively easy way to access any organization computer server. From there, an attacker could devise other ways to access systems on an organization's network. So we need to be careful with that, knowing that. So they trying hard. We all know who's probably doing that, although we're not going to say it because we don't want to make it look like we're trying to create a group of people to assume that another group of people are a particular way, you know. Oh my goodness. It says state police traffic stop leads to discovery of 133 pounds of marijuana. The Indiana State trooper pulled over a GMC Yukon Saturday due to the driver following too close to a tractor trailer. So you just driving crazy. The traffic stop happened on I-70 near 51 mile marker eastbound. The driver has been identified as Alvaro Lopez Chacon, 39, of Costa Rica. State Trooper Cal Hall and his K9 Barker arrived on the scene at the request by the reporting trooper. After searching, Trooper Hall and Officer Barker discovered Lopez Chacon was transporting 133 pounds of marijuana in his vehicle. The estimated street value of $300,000. He was taken into custody. He's in jail. And he's going to be charged with a level 5 felony of dealing marijuana and a class B misdemeanor of possession of marijuana. So he didn't get anything for like having it. For having it, he got a class B, but a felony for dealing it, for having that much, because it's hard to explain how you can smoke 300 pounds of marijuana. Well, 133 pounds of marijuana is just for you to smoke in 1 month, you know. Oh, what happened here? It says woman falls overboard in Southern California cruise ship, says Coast Guard. Did y'all see that? This story right here said 9 people was killed in a boat accident. You know, I be wanting to get on the boat. I'm not one of those. They say you have to be a strong swimmer. I read somewhere like a super. Let's see what this says, y'all.
The case against 3 people charged in the duck boat tragedy of 2018 were to move forward. 9 members of an Indianapolis family will remember this family. 9 members were among the 17 people killed when that duck boat capsized during a storm. The captain and the managers who had ride the ducks, they are charged with involuntary manslaughter. Today was the start of a preliminary hearing that now will determine if this case will go to trial. A meteorologist testified about weather conditions that day. Prosecutors say the boat was sent into the lake despite warnings about the storm. The hearing continues tomorrow.
Alright, sorry, I couldn't get that to turn down. Now, this story here is the search is underway for a woman who reportedly went overboard on a cruise ship off the coast of Ensenada, Mexico, about 80 miles south of San Diego. Passengers on the Carnival Miracle were informed in the morning that the woman who has not been publicly identified fell from the balcony of her stateroom on the ship. According to the statement from the Carnival Cruise Line, crews from the U.S. Coast Guard and the Mexican Navy are working together in an attempt to locate the woman. The ship departed from the Long Beach area Tuesday and is scheduled to return Sunday. In a statement, Carnival said the ship was released after assisting the Coast Guard and will proceed to making the trek back to Southern California. Our thoughts are with the guest and her family, and our care team is providing support. The Carnival Miracle home port is in Long Beach. The ship's biography shows it sails to Alaska, Hawaii, and Mexico from ports in California with a great capacity of more than 2,000 people. Now, women, if you're stuck being on a boat with no way out and no police or anything like that, may not be the best idea, but you can do it. I did it. Um, One of the little server guys, when I went to go take pictures, was waiting around the door. You could tell somebody did something to him to get him to do that. Tried me, but like I said, they were so tiny that that's okay. But there's a couple of safety procedures you need to have in place when you go on a cruise, because some people can't live a reclusive life, but those that can are somewhat shielded a little bit better from stalking than those that have to go out and about. Okay, now let's look. Let's take a look at the guy. Uh oh, y'all want to know where we can get a dozen of Krispy Kreme donuts for $1? Let's see. Although nobody needs to eat these mini donuts, they're bad for your teeth. Oh, you gotta show proof of that you're vaccinated. What about this still in the Cadillac? Well, I can't find the one with the news guy. Yep. We got to get some of these incentives to get the Corvette shot. Hmm. Wait, let me get the other story that we was trying to read. I don't know if it'll do it, cause the news feed it's gonna feed it like however it comes in. So we don't click on it. Sometimes it's not available. Oh my goodness! Do y'all see this? Teen shoots man strangling mom in pizza shop robbery. Blood trails lead to suspect. A teenage boy stopped a group of men attempting to rob a pizzeria on Thursday night after shooting one of the suspects in the face. The incident took place when the three men entered the Philadelphia restaurant at around 10 p.m. and demanded money from the cash register. According to the Philadelphia, at one point one of the men began to choke a female employee who said she could not open the register without a code. Wait, so what's this? This is watch as a Marine veteran expertly disarms gas station robbery in Arizona. So these dudes came into Arizona like this, with the dude standing right there, and they were just like with the gun. And he took the gun out the man's hand and clocked him. Dude came in there with a gun. This guy looking at the gun, took the gun, clocked him in the head. Let's do that one more time. You notice how these are small guys? Well, he had did the same thing if they was his size. He probably would have. And that was quick thinking for him. See that? Would a black man had did that? Would a black woman did that? Would a white woman did that? I don't know. Her 14-year-old son, so this is a different story. Her 14-year-old son was at the pizzeria during the attempted robbery. As the choking began, he grabbed a gun from beneath the counter and shot the man in the face. According to the police and other employees at the restaurant, at that point, all three men fled the scene. Police were later able to follow a trail of blood from the restaurant to a nearby subway station. It was there that they found the suspect, who was bleeding profusely. A large amount of cash was found in his pocket, but police found no weapons. It was unclear whether the suspect was armed during the attempted robbery or if he had only pretended to have a gun. He was taken to a hospital for treatment and was reported to be in critical condition. So people are starting to take back the streets, and that's a good thing. Because we got to realize that when people doing all this robbery and stealing, it may be someone putting them up to it, like they're being forced, coerced to do it, and they really don't. Don't forget when they do that sirens thing, that's when you do this. It's so very obvious. You know, they have apps that you can listen to the police. You can listen to the police call so you can hear that prank call part. And it's like so obvious that what they're doing is, you know, you kind of wonder why they don't get arrested, but still, where are they? You know, if a prank caller calls, they still have to, like, they can't arrest somebody subliminally, you know? They literally need to have that person, like, physically there to arrest them for, you know, like prank calling, stuff like that. So let me get my song together. And we're gonna have to leave this. We have to leave this in the background while I'm doing this for my stalker. I'm sorry. When you hear the noise cook up, and when you hear a lot of noise, like it's some kind of mating call, they're literally driving by listening. They have listening devices. So nobody home is like tamper proof, right? So you're talking about people who are just really messed up in the head. They not only are they messed up in the head, but they also like do drugs. So it's a bad combination. So this actually has to be played in the background because it's about being looking cool in front of their friends, and this doesn't really look cool in front of their friends because that's the part of the game, to pretend like you're that woman's friend, and then behind her back you're like really harassing and bothering her and stalking her real bad and putting her life in danger. They get people to help them do that by telling them, you know, she don't know nothing going on and whatnot, because then, you know, it's easier, it's an easier prey. But someone who knows that this person is riding around with other people, playing that may make that person think, let me get from around this guy because they just told me a lie, you know, or whatever. However, you know, this guy don't seem all that cool. He don't know her, or, you know, she don't know him, or whatever, you know. So this says CNN staff are charged with trying to convince mom to allow him to train daughters to be sexually submissive. A Connecticut man was arrested by the Federal Bureau of Investigation on Friday for allegedly pursuing minors to engage in unlawful sexual activity, officials said. Now, John Griffin, 44, was taken into custody Friday after a federal grand jury in Vermont charged him with 3 counts of using a facility to interstate commerce to attempt to entice minors to engage in unlawful sexual activity. So he has some kind of interstate commerce, some kind of well, he has some kind of physical business. So so you could just be doing like a barter, like a word to word agreement. That's considered interstate commerce. Officials said that from April to July of last year in Stamford, Connecticut, residents used the message apps KIK and Google Hangouts to communicate with people. Disguised as parents of young girls to convey to convey to them that women should be sexually subservient and inferior to men, and that a woman is a woman regardless of her age, among other ideas. Griffin was identified by the Stanford Advocate as a CNN employee. We take the charges against Mr. Griffin incredibly seriously. A CNN spokesperson told Hearst Connecticut media on Friday, "We only learned of his arrest this afternoon and have suspended him pending investigation." So the judge get removed from her seat for for uh, for saying harsh things about her coworkers and communicating with the people on the case. This this guy is only suspended upon pending investigation. So I guess it's because of the different entity it's coming out of. But John Griffin was arrested by the FBI after federal grand jury in Vermont charged Griffin with 3 counts of using a facility to interstate commerce to attempt to entice minors to engage in unlawful sexual activity. According to the indictment, Griffin's goal was to persuade parents to allow him to sexually train their daughters, teaching them how to be sexually submissive. Authorities said that in April of 2020, he proposed to engage in a virtual training session over a video chat in which he instructed a mother and her 14-year-old daughter to remove their clothing and touch each other. In June, he told a mother of 2 young girls, ages 9 and 13, that her responsibility was to see that her eldest daughter was trained properly. He later transferred more than $3 grand to the mother for plane tickets so that she, along with her 9-year-old, could fly from Nevada to Boston. When they did in July, he picked them up in his Tesla and drove them to his Lowdown ski house. At the house, the daughter was directed to engage in unlawful sexual activity. According to the indictment, Griffin also proposed to a woman disguised as the mother of a 16-year-old daughter that they should take a little mother-daughter trip to the ski house for sexual training involving the child. And what appears to be Griffin's LinkedIn, he said that he has worked as a senior producer at CNN since 2013, after working at ABC News for nearly 8 years. He has also worked as both a producer and editor at Fox News and CBS News. He describes his role at CNN as lead anchor, senior producer at the network's morning news show, New Day, where he worked shoulder to shoulder with lead anchor Chris Cuomo. Cuomo, who was one of the network's top-rated hosts, was recently fired over alleged effort to help his brother, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, fight sexual harassment accusations. So this tells you right here, the governor, you got the media, and we're talking about being of a lasciviousness or perverted nature, where I think we need to advocate for stiffer laws that pertain to perverts. And when you got people like this so high in office that are perverts, you can see why it kind of seems like the world is going to hell in a handbasket. And it's because of the pervertedness. That's not godly. God never intended for a man to have more than one wife. That's scripture based. The Bible also tells us that if a man, the reason why a man is not supposed to have more than one wife, and the Muslims, everybody got it wrong. The Bible tells us that we're not supposed to have but one wife. One husband, one wife. That's how God created it. Now, when people do other stuff, or when people take the illustrations of what was wrong, and they try to tell you, hey, this is an illustration of what we can do, or what they was doing, doesn't mean that it was right. But the Bible tells us
how we know we're only supposed to have one wife and one husband is because the Bible tells us that. And we also have another affirmation. The Bible tells us that having more than one wife or more than one husband causes wars. That's why we're not supposed to have more than one. So anything else is just a perversion of how God intended it to be. If convicted, Griffin faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years of imprisonment on each count, or a maximum sentence of life imprisonment, federal authorities said. The federal government also intends to seek the forfeit of Griffin's lowdown house, his Tesla, a Mercedes, as well as other property he used to commit charges of offensive, according to the indictment. So this is a type of slavery that's not easy to get out of when it's of a perverted nature. DC woman killed by man who threatened her decades earlier. You see what I'm telling you? DC woman killed by a man who threatened her decades earlier. And it says a Washington, D.C. woman was allegedly killed by an ex-con who began mercilessly stalking and beating her after serving 2 decades in prison for terrorizing the same woman. Before he was freed earlier this year because of a COVID-19 outbreak at the jail. Now, earlier in this conversation, because we've been screaming for an hour and a half now, I said that if a stalker gets arrested, he will continue full force once he gets out of jail, as if that was how it's supposed to have went. As if that was what he had the right to do. And he just did 20 years. He has given up his life. When a man stalks, for me, if a man stalks, that man has given up on his life and whoever else he's stalking. Well, put it this way. You can't give up on somebody else's life. You cannot want to deal with them, but he's given up on his life, and whoever he's stalking, misery loves company. He just want to take them with him. These stalkers have to be put out their misery. Once he get out of jail this time, he's going to find somebody else to stalk and start this over again. We have too many of these where these guys get to stalk and beat women, severely beat women, and just go to jail for 2-3 months or say he was mental or something like that, and that's it. Sylvia Matthews, 71, was found unconscious and with serious head injuries in her Southwest Washington home on December 3rd after prosecutors ignored charging Michael Garnett, 66, in 2 attacks on Matthew in October. The two had met when she worked at a local prison where he was serving time before his release in '98. Garnett soon began stalking her and was sent back to prison for 24 years in '99. A year later, after being convicted for breaking into the same home where she was found dead last week. He was free to hound the woman again after being sprung on compassionate release in March. Outbreak among inmates, despite the U.S. authority office opposing his release. Within months, he was accused of stalking her and beating her again. Garrett was arrested at Matthews' front door and charged with threatening her, but prosecutors declined the case. 2 weeks later, police said that Garnett beat Matthews outside her home, but prosecutors suspended for prosecution for unknown reasons. My theory is there's a lot of women who kill these guys that be stalking them and harassing them, and it's very very tricky. It's very very tricky because you have to defend yourself, and he's going to do everything he can to disable your defenses. But be very aware that these guys just want to put your life in danger. And from one spectrum, it does the United States does seem to have a problem with these perverts. Like they get to have the narrative of putting their hands on so many people and nothing happening to them, as if it's an incentive, you know. But yeah, keep in mind a lot of this they do is kind of about looking cool in front of their friends and stuff. So all right, and we over here trying to multitask. Get our multitask together. Amen. Amen. So it says one of the killing Matthew called. In this woman's defense, if she would have had a gun, and if she would have killed him, she would have been well within her right to do so. She would have been well within her right to do so, and she would be alive and he would be dead, and she wouldn't have got 1 day, 1 hour, 1 second, because he was arrested for being over there. He had no business over there. He had no business over there. All right, he had no business whatsoever. So, you know, and she worked at the jail doesn't necessarily mean that she worked in a position that required her to carry a firearm or to, take self-defense classes, as like I would assume those guards have to. On the day of killing, Matthew called police at around 7:30 a.m. to report that Garnett was breaking into her car and attempted to break into her home. But by the time the police arrived to the home, Garnett was gone. Matthew then called the police again about 8:44 a.m. to say she saw Garnett outside and she had him on the phone. Police arrived and spoke to Garnett on Matthew's phone and told him to leave her alone. Hours later, police were called once again, this time by the same person who had been helping Matthews clean up broken glass from the earlier break-in after hearing a scuffle in the home. When police responded to the home, they found Garnett next to an unconscious, injured Matthews in the basement. Garnett allegedly told officers he just got there and that Matthews had called him to come over because she believed that someone had broken into her home. Garnett told officers that he had just gotten to the home 5 minutes before police did and that the door was open. He said he called 911 from Matthew's phone because his phone was dead. Police arrested Garnett on the scene and charged him with assault with intent to kill, initially labeling the offense domestic in nature. Matthew was taken to a local hospital and died from her injuries the following day. Matthew's family say they did not know Garnett personally but knew of him. Matthews met Garnett in '98 when she worked at the pharmacy at the old reformatory where the inmate was. When Garnett was released that year, he assaulted Matthews in her home and was sentenced to 24 years in prison. A relative of Matthews who asked to remain anonymous said that Garnett should not have been released in the first place. He shouldn't have had been on the streets. She said the family is devastated and believed that Matthews' death was totally preventable if authorities did not ignore the serious threat Garnett posed to the 71-year-old. See, that's the thing about it is that the law they came out there and they even spoke to that man on the phone. So they definitely need to go ahead and put stalkers on death row. Go ahead and put these stalkers up there on death row. These domestic violence people, put them up there on death row because that doesn't mean that they got cranky and they want to fight somebody. It could mean that they have mental health issues or they've given up on their lives and misery loves company. Let's see why she was fired after receiving a $4,000 tip. That's a nice tip, right? Waitress who received $4,400 tip from a group of Good Samaritans to split between her and another server has been fired from her job after the restaurant manager forced her to cough up most of the money. Grant Wise, who owns a local real estate company, organized the $100 dinner club at the Dine at the Oven in Tappan, Brenton, Arkansas earlier this month, with each member contributing a $100 tip. Wise called the restaurant ahead of the outing to confirm that its server did not share tips and as he presented one of the waitresses was with a check of $4,400 to split between her and another waitress who served the group. She was left in tears. But soon after, Bandit said restaurant manager told her she would have to split the tip with all of her co-workers, something she said they have not requested in the 3.5 years she worked there. I was told that I was going to be giving my cash over to my shift and I would be taking home 20%. Nothing that she had ever been asked to split in her tip before in the 3.5 years she worked there. So I don't know what they're gonna tell her to do for as her rights. I mean, it's an at will. People can fire you for, they don't have any more business. Oh, y'all want to read about the avalanche? Okay, this sounds bad. Macon, Georgia, a former Georgia school administrator has been indicted on a murder charge after investigators accused him of poisoning his ailing wife with a cocaine overdose. News outlets report indictment issues Tuesday charged Edward Judy Jr. of Macon with felony murder and violating state drug laws. A previously unnamed woman was indicted on the same charges. Alea Danielle Walker. Joyce Fox Judy, 60, was found dead in November 2019, at the couple's home in Northwest Macon. Ed Judy, 67, told deputies at the time he and his wife had been drinking and he thought she had fallen asleep. An autopsy found that Joyce Judy had many times the lethal dose of cocaine in her body when she died. Investigators said that they determined that Ed Judy had brought cocaine that night. That they said that Ed changed his story multiple times during the interviews. A lawyer for Ed was denied that the lawyer denied that he's guilty. A court clerk said Friday that no lawyer is listed for Walker. Local news outlets report Joyce was being treated for dementia, but Ed spent 2 months in jail in part because prosecutors said believed he was a threat to flee after he was recorded while in jail asking someone to secure his passport and hide insurance proceeds from his wife's death. Ed was later released on a $200,000 bond and was officers responded around 10 a.m. when officers arrived and they found a man dead on the sidewalk with a gunshot wound near the Ralph David Abernathy freeway. Oh, that man actually got a freeway. I think that's the one who was did the movie Catch Me If You Can. This is awkward, right? When the officers arrived, they found a man dead on the sidewalk with a gunshot wound near the freeway, close to the Mechanicville neighborhood. So the homicide unit is working to determine what led up to the shooting. This is a developing story. They'll continue to update us as we learn more. We can listen to it.
In Atlanta, increased 62% year to year. In Georgia, overall violent crime increased 23%, assaults spiked 33%, robberies and property crime both decreased.
There's just so many variables today that are involved in what may be spiking crime, and particularly violent crime in and of itself.
Former DeKalb County Director of Public Safety Cedric Alexander is currently a public safety advisor for Sharon Gay's Atlanta mayoral campaign. Alexander says while violent crime from 2019 to 2020 trended upward on the national, state, and local level, it is hard to say across the board why crime is trending upward, as the issue is often very community-based. He says repeat offenders, unemployment, children being out of school, the pandemic, issues surrounding policing, all could have played a role.
But you would really have to focus in on each city individually and do a study, a very detailed study in each one of those cities.
While crime spiked last year, though, the rate of homicides and aggravated assaults are still well below totals from the late 80s and early 90s. Alexander says the focus must be to get ahead of the trend now before current crime numbers are normalized and record highs return. How individual communities respond, he said, will need to be tailored to their unique and local needs.
We have to utilize all of our technology, all of our data analysis that we have in front of us, in order to be able to be as predictive as we can, but understanding that human beings are very complex individuals, and what we may do today may not work tomorrow.
Since the increase in homicides can be alarming by itself, to give a bit more context of where crime is compared to record highs in the 90s, the FBI's data shows that last year homicides were still down 30% compared to 1991, both nationally and across Georgia. Jeff?
All right, Joe, thank you. Crime is
Overnight, a pedestrian was killed in yet another hit and run. It's one of several local stories we are tracking tonight and have new details on. It happened in Brookhaven at the intersection of Claremont Road and Claremont Way, just north of I-85. The Georgia State Patrol tells 11 Alive a pedestrian tried crossing Claremont Road when a vehicle hit them in the westbound lane. The make and model of that vehicle is unknown, but GSP determined the driver kept heading west on Claremont Road. GSP is still working tonight to notify the victim's family. Tonight, a pedestrian was...
Janet here just closed on a new mortgage with a great rate from Amerisave. But
All right, so let's see what happened here. A man was shot. Let's see. I'm gonna turn it down though. That last story, guys, sound kind of bad to me. This one here.
Well, the MCSO also investigating a shooting that happened earlier this morning in Sims. According to the sheriff's office, the victim was shot in the leg while emptying trash in the Walmart parking lot. No known suspects or motive of the shooting have been released. We'll, of course, pass along any updates as they become available. Well, the MCSO also investigating a
Tom, really just terrifying moments for that woman. She lives with her mother, her daughter, and her grandchildren. She's been released from the hospital after that brutal attack, and now she's hoping to find whoever is responsible.
Please, I can't get my shoes.
Dragged out of her house, Lenora Lopez is seen being thrown to the ground with what she says was a gun. An ABC 13 exclusive footage. She's left bloodied and terrified, lying in the driveway while the suspects drive off.
I have hematomas all over my head, knots, and staples in the abdomen.
Lopez sitting in this exact spot on the couch on Friday night when she says a man came right through her front door around 11 p.m.
10:53, I will never forget that time. Me grabbing by my hair, he took me down my hallway, straight into the rooms, and he says, "Where's the money? Where's the money?" I'm like, "What money?" He goes, "You have to have money."
Another man seen following close behind walks in after.
He pointed the AR gun, and he said, "Get on the ground."
The men, she tells us, asked for cash and guns. Lopez says the car went past her home several times before the robbery.
They go by. That's it.
Her daughter left just a few minutes before, so she believes the suspects targeted her because they didn't think anyone was home. She told them her daughter would be back in a matter of minutes.
He started panicking. He started saying, hurry up, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. He said, kill her. And I said, please don't kill me. Please, I promise you.
Lopez says the two men left with a few $1,000s in cash and handbags. After they dragged her outside, they ran into the getaway car.
I really thought they were gonna shoot me, but I was like, why would they drag me outside? That's what I didn't understand.
She shared her story in the hopes police find whoever's responsible and stop this from happening to anyone else. Her bravery and quick thinking may help police do exactly that.
When he dropped the backpack, I seen the phone, so I kicked it under the backpack so he wouldn't know that he had dropped his phone.
Lopez says she handed over the suspect's phone to Houston police, who tell us they're investigating. I'm Brooke Taylor, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Was killed in yet another hit and run. It's one of several local stories we are tracking tonight and have new details on. It happened in Brookhaven at the intersection of Claremont Road and Claremont Way, just north of I-85. The Georgia State Patrol tells 11 Alive a pedestrian tried crossing Claremont Road when a vehicle hit them in the westbound lane. The make and model of that vehicle is unknown, but GSP determined the driver kept heading west on Claremont Road. GSP is still working tonight to notify the victim's family.
Tom, really just terrifying moments for that woman. She lives with her mother, her
Tonight, a
daughter.
pedestrian was killed in yet another hit.
Water and her
Shooting that happened earlier this morning.
That you could do to an amputee. A man in my shape and still my truck.
He lost his leg to a severe infection, and now he's lost his brand new truck to thieves. A North Linden man contacted us asking for help after his dream of getting back behind the wheel was stolen from him. Only on ABC 6. Steve Levine shows us how this good neighbor ended up becoming the victim of crooks.
A 73-year-old North Linden man tells me he thought he was doing his neighbors a favor when he parked his truck in their driveway when they went on vacation so they wouldn't be targeted by crooks. But instead, it was this good neighbor who ended up becoming the crime victim. John Willis's dream is to get back behind the wheel of a car after losing his leg above the knee to an infection several years ago.
I want to be able to take my own self to the doctor. I want to be able to take my own self to the barber shop.
That dream close to becoming a reality recently when the 73-year-old purchased this V6 2005 Toyota Tundra.
I bought the truck. I thought, man, I'm a cook now. I'm a cook. And I was going to be able to drive.
But John's dream turned into a nightmare when someone stole the truck right from under him.
I think it's the lowest thing that you could do to an amputee. A man in my shape and still my truck.
John had parked the Tundra in his neighbor's driveway while they were on vacation so they wouldn't be targeted by crooks. Instead, John's the one who became a crime victim. When you drove by your neighbor's house and you saw your truck on?
I went clear to the bottom.
John shows us the equipment he bought to help him drive the truck, which was days away from being retrofitted with special controls to give John his independence and allow him to drive on his own.
I've always believed in helping people. And then now what I'm wanting something, I ain't getting nothing.
John's insurance not covering the entire loss, and he tells us he has to pay restocking fees for some equipment he bought that he now cannot use. Friends creating a GoFundMe page to raise enough cash to return this longtime community volunteer back on the road.
It don't have to be no new truck. It's just a good used truck that'll take me the rest of my life. Why me, Lord? Why me? Why did this have to happen to me?
On your side in North Linden, Steve Levine reporting.
I thought this was gonna automatically show. Okay, so the next story. I'll turn this down because sometimes it's extremely loud.
broad daylight, disrupting Chicago's Gold Coast neighborhood. Burglars targeting a luxury car dealership. But it was not the vehicles that these guys were after. CBS 2's Stephen Graves live near the Rolls-Royce dealership. And Stephen, the store owner's really fired up.
Marie, that is an understatement. He admitted he does not like to do TV interviews, but he wanted to talk to us today because he is fed up wanting changes at the top and fast.
To walk into my business and crash in the windows and one guy stands with a gun, and we have to have this happen, enough is enough.
Rolls-Royce dealership owner Joe Carrillo furious after this. The fast smash and grab happening within seconds. You see the burglar casually walk inside the Gold Coast store on the rush around you. Workers say he and an accomplice weren't after luxury cars, instead smashing glass of a jewelry display with a hammer, getting away with several expensive watches. Store salesmen even ran after them with their guns drawn.
That's literally bogus. You can't take something that's not yours.
Some even shielding families from the mayhem.
I mean, you take the people and you try to hide them.
Chicago police say the suspects eventually got away in a vehicle. This narrative probably sounds familiar because our recent CBS 2 reports have followed several high-end store burglaries, many along Chicago's Magnificent Mile. But this one in Oak Brook, even more shocking, showing a flash mob darting in and out quickly. Carrillo wants it to stop and thinks that starts in Chicago. Cook County prosecutors and city leadership holding criminals accountable.
It's only a fool who keeps doing things the same way and expects different results. If the mayor and Kim Fox don't do anything to get control of this, it's not going to get better, it's going to get worse.
Experts previously telling us burglaries like this could affect tourism and to make people hesitant to come downtown. That is the last thing Carrillo wants in the city. He says he loves and calls home.
But right now it's turning into Palookaville.
And now this dealership is not letting just anyone in. Their doors will be locked. They have to let certain people in. Workers calling this a sad reality of the times. Reporting live in the Gold Coast, Stephen Graves, CBS 2 News. Marie.
Stephen, thank you.
3 people are recovering this morning after gunfire last night at Family Express gas station in Mishawaka. This happened in a parking lot on West Addison Road just before 10. Police say 2 people were shot at the gas station, one while pumping gas. A 3rd person was shot while inside their home down the street. All 3 people were taken to the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. Police are still looking for the suspects, but say there is no threat to the public. Happening. 3 people.
Tommy Torres is managing a small cell phone shop when 2 customers walk in. By their attire, Tommy thinks he's being pranked, but what happens next is anything but a joke.
Go out the gate. Go out the door. Go out the door. Go out the door. Go out the door. Come here. Tell me clothes. Tell me clothes.
The suspect takes Tommy in the back.
We're speaking on the phone. We're calling the wrong street. Straight on the phone. What's over there? Yeah. Don't look at me. Look down. Look down. You got the phone down.
The assailant senses Tommy is looking for a way out. But Tommy flees through the back door of the cell phone shop. He finds the back door of a neighboring travel agency open and escapes through the front with a female worker. Outside, a man pulls down the security gate. The assailants are trapped and desperate to escape. Meanwhile, the crowd has gathered outside. This suspect uses try to break down the door. In the back, the assailants find tools. They use a wrench to break the metal cage of a side window and escape from the store. Police arrest Samuel LeBou and Travis Davis. They are both charged with armed robbery. Both get 5-year sentences, followed by probation after time served.
So this happened in Texas. Like, I'm thinking this one happened in
a small cell phone shop when 2 customers walk in. By their attire, Tommy thinks he's being pranked. But what happens next
we don't know where this happened.
So overnight, one man is dead after someone started firing a gun at random cars. It happened just before 2 a.m. on Highway 90 west of Castroville. According to the Medina County Sheriff, Randy Brown, it all started when deputies received a call for a driver going the wrong way on Highway 90. The sheriff says 31-year-old Pedro Espinosa was firing his gun at random cars and hit a bus filled with railroad employees. One of the bullets hit a 45-year-old man in the neck, killing him. Espinosa will face charges of murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The sheriff says Espinosa also had heroin in his possession.
Meanwhile,
breaking news as we come on the air this afternoon, a live look in Renton where police have confirmed that 3 people have been found dead inside of a home there. You can see investigators currently on scene. That investigation now underway. This is happening along Factory Avenue near North 3rd Street. We learned from investigators just a short time ago, within the past couple of minutes, that 2 of the 3 people found dead inside of that home were teenage siblings. The third was apparently a male relative in his 30s. And investigators say there were no signs of trauma. They tell us the landlord had not received rent, went to check on that home this morning. Somehow the bodies were discovered inside. As you can tell, we have a crew on the scene there working to get more information. We'll provide any updates here on the air and online at comonews.com.
Well, Maggie police, the first thing they told us was that the situation has been resolved. The man who was shot by police has been taken to the hospital for treatment. Behind me, you can see that the investigation is still going on. You can see the staging area behind me for Portland Police. They say this started just before 8 o'clock this evening when they tried to make a traffic stop of a car at 92nd and Schiller. Instead of stopping, the car sped off. At this point, police don't know why that was the case. They used an intervention technique, and they were able to stop him at 88th and Schiller, and where there was a crash of that car. Now, there was a confrontation between the man who was in the car, he was in the car by himself, between that man and police officers. Gunshots were fired, the man was wounded. He stayed in the car at that point and would not come out. Police had to bring in the negotiation team, and it took about 2 hours before they were finally able to convince the man to come out of that car. At that point, they were able to take him to the hospital for treatment. Now, police say that they had reason to believe that he was armed. As I said, they still do not know why it was he did not stop for them when they tried to make that initial traffic stop. At one point, they told people in this neighborhood that they needed to stay inside in order to remain safe because they didn't know exactly what was going to happen with this situation. That has now changed. They have taken the man to the hospital. There is no danger to anyone around here right now. And the investigation continues. We are at Holgate and 92nd. Holgate is blocked off between 92nd and 82nd. Police say it'll probably stay that way for at least the next couple of hours while they work on this investigation.
Tonight we're learning more today about the deadly standoff in the East Bay. Happened Friday in Antioch, where an armed man who fired a rifle at cars and houses was shot and killed by police after a tense standoff at the suspect's home, which later caught fire. ABC 7 News reporter Cornell Bernard has the story.
A dramatic end Friday night. Gunfire and a house fully engulfed in flames on Dove Court in Antioch. It's where police say a man barricaded himself after shooting at cars on the street earlier in the day.
When officers arrived on scene, it was confirmed that the suspect was armed with a rifle,
and was actively shooting at cars and houses.
Neighbor Roland Sunga heard the shots.
Doing my laundry around 1 p.m. I heard like 3 gunshots, and I was thinking it was just a firecracker.
Neighbors were told to shelter in place. Antioch police said they tried to make contact with the suspect several times, but the man continued firing at houses and toward officers, even bringing down this police drone.
Crazy. We saw everything on the news, and found out it was a neighbor across the street and everything. I told my wife I kind of feared it might have been him and everything. When they were saying a blue truck, I'm like, wow.
Alejandro Kennedy said his neighbor, a man in his 40s, was always friendly, never angry or violent.
And with this pandemic going on, I mean, it affected a lot of people in different ways too. I don't know if it affected him in an adverse way or if he had other things going on in his life.
After 7 hours, police say the suspect set fire to the garage. Flames soon engulfed the house.
The house was on fire, and I was like wondering, should I evacuate or?
The man came outside where he was confronted by SWAT team members.
After making contact with officers, they fired their weapons and the suspect was struck.
Police wouldn't say if the still unidentified man was armed or brandishing a gun when he was shot. No officers were injured. The Contra Costa County DA says her office is now investigating.
I understand a lot of rounds were fired, but we're glad that we've been contained here, and so now we're just trying to follow the investigation.
In Antioch, Cornell Bernard, ABC 7 News.
Can't hear anything on this one, but it's an overturned car. I guess it's in front of this Winnebago.
And new tonight, you could.
Well, I know I'm just starting my live, and there's not that many people on there, but I'm growing, and maybe perhaps other people wanna know what's going on the news. They can watch this with me. Maybe anybody, let your friends know and your family. If you know someone, your friends or your family know, they may want to watch, the news from maybe just want to hear a different person speak it or see different stories. Because if you type in here, I'll read the one that you want me to read or go to. And you may get this before you would see it on the regular mainstream media.
Call it a DoorDash disaster. A Beaumont woman says she woke up to find a huge charge on her DoorDash account. Groceries, Chinese food, and even an elaborate meal from a Brazilian steakhouse, all things she didn't order. Our 12 News reporter Gloria Walker is sharing that story tonight of how that woman is turning the tables on the hackers.
Cameron Lupita Villarreal says $120 was charged to her DoorDash account. She says thanks to alerts from DoorDash and one key clue from a delivery driver, she was able to track the fraud to California and wants to share her story in hopes she can prevent this kind of fraud from ever happening again.
Lupita Villarreal is an employee at 12 News. She's a digital producer who loves traveling, Justin Bieber, and trying new food.
These apps is because I obviously didn't want to go out and get something, but it also helps people who work for these companies.
DoorDash is a food delivery app that brings your favorite food to the comfort of your own home. Many people love it because it's convenient and easy to use. But on Saturday, November 20th, Villarreal discovered her account had been hacked.
It's actually never happened to me before, and it was even more shocking that I found out at like 5 in the morning. I was asleep the whole night.
Villarreal contacted DoorDash to report the fraud. The company deactivated her account, but also blacklisted her credit card, so it can no longer be used on the app.
I not rely on an app that people use worldwide to be able to keep my information and my finances secure.
And Villarreal is not alone. According to the Better Business Bureau, these kinds of scams have made Southeast Texans lose a total of $8,000 in the past few months. Liz Fredericks of the BBB offers this advice.
Everyone who purchases online should always use a credit card only, because if you do run into problems, you can get your money back through your credit card company.
Advice Villarreal says she will keep in mind, but her story doesn't end here. Villarreal says she wanted to know who did this and why. And on her cell phone, a key clue to help unravel this mystery. Villarreal used the name of the restaurant on one of the receipts to track the hackers to this LA neighborhood. It's what one of the delivery drivers did that helped narrow down who could be responsible. This photo matches a home on Google Maps, which Villarreal found out is being used as a rental property for USC. And while she can't put a name or a face to the person responsible, she says tracking it this far gives her peace of mind.
Villarreal's money was refunded by DoorDash, and as for tracking down who is responsible, she has chosen not to file a police report yet. Although disappointed in the actions of how her case was handled, she is glad to share a warning to fellow Southeast Texans. In studio, Lori Walker, 12 News.
The Bexar County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding 29-year-old Johnny Rodriguez. On November 11th, deputies responded to a call to a home in far south Bexar County. The victim told deputies Rodriguez insisted on visiting her, even though she no longer wanted to see him. Rodriguez showed up at their house uninvited, and that's when things turned ugly. Rodriguez allegedly started choking her with both of his hands until she could no longer breathe. She was able to break free and tried calling for help, but Rodriguez allegedly broke her phone. The report then states that he allegedly grabbed her hair and pulled her, making her fall on top of a child. That child was injured. Rodriguez took off and is now wanted on several charges, including interfering with an emergency call, injury to a child, and assault. 29-year-old Johnny Poncio Rodriguez is 5'11" and weighs 165 pounds. He is known to hang out in Poteet, just south of San Antonio. If you have any information, you can call the Bexar County Sheriff's Office at 210-335-6000. And remember, you can run, but you can't hide. From Fox San Antonio viewers, Jeremy Virgen, Fox News at 9.
And another crash sent one person to the hospital last night. It happened just before 2 a.m. on Pine Street near I-35, that's on the east side. Firefighters said they had to use the jaws of life to rescue a driver from that crashed car. Now, officials say one car slammed into another. The injured driver was taken to the hospital in stable condition. And another crash.
This is a typical Mexican public transport.
And some of you may find this video disturbing. We want to give you that warning. Another
County investigators are on the scene of a deadly shooting that happened in the Mission Bend area.
And just minutes ago, deputies confirmed to us that a woman shot and killed a robbery suspect. Our Patrina Adger joins us live from that active investigation. Patrina, what have you learned?
Yes, the sheriff's office says a woman in the neighborhood was approached by a man who was trying to rob her when she pulled out a gun and shot him. Now, the sheriff's office says her boyfriend was inside their house when he ran outside and chased after two other men who were seen running off. The sheriff's office says at some point the boyfriend also fired his weapon. The two other suspects getting away in a white four-door vehicle occupied by two black men.
Obviously, we're trying to identify this deceased individual here at the scene. We're hoping that an identification of him will lead us to the other two individuals that were with him at the time of the attempted robbery.
Now, deputies believe this may be drug-related. The couple are both in custody. They are cooperating with authorities. They don't believe that the couple will face charges in the suspect's death. Reporting live this morning, Patrina Adger, ABC 13, Eyewitness News.
Nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Nothing.
He was conscious too.
There's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do, man. Nothing you can do. They made that choice, and it's a fatal choice. I saw the rack, and then boom.
We're gonna shut that bridge down. Is that bridge cracking?
No. You're gonna have to.
I was gonna let it go up.
You're gonna have to get all this buzz, and probably the ME. I mean, you want to talk about a bad decision. That's going to happen.
Tonight, a new layer of information connected to the shooting death of a combat veteran in mental crisis who was killed by Bexar County deputies.
The deputy responsible for taking the life of Damian Daniels also shot and killed another man during a mental meltdown. Eyewitness News reporter Marvin Hurst explains.
Combat veteran Damian Daniels and Jack Bernie Butler died 10 years apart. Their death scenes less than 20 miles from each other. But the person who killed them both is the same Bexar County deputy. Authorities say 35-year-old Butler was stabbing himself in the arm and attacked Leon Valley paramedics who tried to help him. Deputy John Rodriguez said when he arrived on the scene, he tried to get Butler to comply. But he said Butler would not drop the knife or obey orders to stop. Butler was shot and died. The deputy was cleared of any criminal responsibility. Now the same deputy is under the microscope again for killing Daniels late last month on Liberty View. A similar set of circumstances where an armed man in mental crisis does not comply, ends up dead.
We need to be asking tough questions about not just how this particular incident was handled, but how we as policymakers make allocations of resources for the mental health population, those who are struggling, our veterans in particular.
Daniel's shooting happened in Commissioner Justin Rodriguez's precinct. While he is not second-guessing law enforcement, he did release a statement in recent days, asking quite a few tough questions of the shooting. The commissioner says the questions are about help.
You know, what are the resources that we can help with allocating to make sure something like this doesn't happen again? So look, it's perfectly normal, I think, to ask these tough questions.
Salazar did not comment to Eyewitness News about the one deputy who bears these two deaths. Spokesman says the sheriff is busy trying to launch his cahoots program, which would send a crisis intervention team to scenes like the ones in question. Salazar previously said in Daniel's case he isn't sure mental health expertise would have changed the outcome. Marvin Hurst, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.
Funeral arrangements have been set for Damian Daniels. The family's attorney tells us services will be held next Friday in Montgomery, Alabama. The Reverend Al Sharpton will deliver the eulogy for Daniels.
Next, we're in Paris, Kentucky.
An update now on a case involving a Gwinnett County man hit and killed by two different drivers. They still haven't been caught, and now his family needs your help tracking them down. There's one clue. A witness telling police they saw a red Toyota sedan stop and take off after hitting Julio Sandoval Friday night. His sister speaking exclusively with Dr. Paolo Soro tonight.
He looked at life with a very positive outlook. Mayra Sandoval Ruiz is trying to hold on to some of her brother's positivity through the darkest of times.
We come from a very humble but hardworking, strong family.
and well, we're forced to be strong now and live through this difficult loss.
Gwinnett County Police say Julio Sandoval was crossing Singleton Road near Thompson Parkway Friday night when a car hit him and took off. Then a second car hit him, also leaving the scene.
We can't bring my brother back with what they have to say, but it will help bring us peace.
Witnesses said the driver of a red Toyota sedan stopped, saw Sandoval lying on the road after hitting him, and drove away. Julio died at the scene, leaving his parents, 10 siblings, and 5 children behind. One of his children is only 13 years old.
If you saw anything that night, think of my nephew. His youngest son was the light of his life. Now he's an orphan. He has no one to turn to because his mother is in El Salvador.
Mayra says her hardworking oldest brother had recently saved up money to move back to El Salvador, where he's originally from and where 2 of his 5 children live. Now they are raising money to try and make that last wish of his come true.
He was working hard to save money, like most immigrants who come to this country, to fight for a better future. We're told that sending his body to El Salvador could cost up to $10,000.
Anyone with information is asked to call Gwinnett County Police. We have that phone number and a link to the family's fundraiser on 11alive.com.
We begin tonight at 11 with breaking news out of Providence. The police chief just confirming to NBC 10 a man has been shot and killed. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Ashley Cullinane. The 19's Cal Domowski is live on scene gathering details tonight. Cal.
Yeah, Ashley, I'm here right now at 89 Huxley Avenue in Providence, where Captain Fernandez just confirmed to us moments ago that a man was shot multiple times in the head and was pronounced dead at Rhode Island Hospital. Now, I'm going to step out right now so that we can show you that scene right here. The incident happened around 9:51 this evening, and it happened outside of the home. We did ask Captain Fernandez, who said no one else is believed to be home at the time of this incident. Officials have found shell casings at the scene. Captain Fernandez said Providence College detail was here within seconds. No leads at this time, and the investigation is still active. They're not releasing the gentleman's name. The next steps are to notify the man's family and then have detectives take over the investigation from there. Now, of course, there have been at least 20 homicides in Providence this year alone, including this one here tonight. Live in Providence, Cal Domowski, NBC 10 News 19.
New tonight at 11, the Roanoke County Police Department is asking for your help after they found 2 people shot. Police say their 911 center got a report of a shooting in the 800 block of Fenwick Drive. This was just before midnight on Friday. When police got there, they found 2 people with gunshot wounds. They say that their injuries were not life-threatening and they were taken to the hospital. Police also said that they have not arrested anyone yet. New tonight at
Right. Okay. Lieutenant Ignacio Izaguirre. It's I-G-N-A-C-I-O-I-Z-A-G-U-I-R-E. So at about 0200, about 2 a.m. in the morning, our Southwest patrol officers got dispatched to a shooting just occurred here in the 8200 block of Beechnut next to the Southwest Freeway. When the patrol officer arrived, he observed a Hispanic female, approximately 36 years old, shot one time in the eye, in the right eye. That female was transported to Bentov, where she is in surgery, but is expected to survive. Preliminary investigation indicates that there was an argument or some kind of confrontation inside of the club. When they came out, it continued. The boyfriend of the female that got shot was also involved with the suspect who I'll describe in a minute. Apparently the complainant female reached into, was trying to de-escalate the situation as the suspect was trying to leave. She reaches inside of the car, of his car, and at which point the suspect, which is described as a Hispanic male with a black complexion, shoots one time, striking her in the face. At that point, he flees the scene, and at this point, what we have is just witnesses' testimonies. It's early in the investigation, so our major assault is en route to the scene to do further investigation.
Status on the suspect?
He is an adult male, possibly he's a black male, but with a Hispanic descent or Latin descent. It's preliminary, but it's possible that he is known to some of the customers that come here.
But he is outstanding at this time?
Yes, yes. He fled the scene, correct.
And so you've got a number of witnesses, is that accurate?
Yes.
My understanding is there's a number of cameras as well that may have actually caught the shooting.
That's possible, but our major assaults, follow up on that. The vehicle he did flee on.
Now to where in the middle of nowhere.
An update on a violent attack near a high school in Staten Island. Police are trying to identify 2 young men in connection with that assault. This happened Monday afternoon near the Susan E. Wagner High School football fields. Police say the suspects allegedly punched a 16-year-old boy and one hit him in the head with a gun. The suspects are also accused of hitting a 19-year-old boy in the face. Now to an update on a
Suspect for sex at a San Antonio high school. Teens accused of engaging in sex acts inside a bathroom. Northside ISD confirms there's even video. Eyewitness News reporter Jeremy Baker joins us live, and Jeremy, students were sharing it?
That's a possibility. The district says they were made aware of the video, which was airdropped to several students' phones after a student made Warren High School administration aware that the video was circulated. The district says they do not know who shared the video or how many students may have received it, but did say the students in the video were minors. The district says they are in communication with both the parents of the individuals depicted in the video, as well as the parents of the students who received the video, to make sure everyone involved is informed.
The other issue, given the age of the individuals depicted in the video, is any potential criminal charges that individuals could face, whether that's for possession of the video and certainly just distributing the video, and that is where Northside Police is investigating.
The district says if any student did receive the video and parents are aware, to talk to their child and make sure they are informing officials at the high school, and to make sure they don't keep the video in their possession, and most certainly do not forward or share the video in any way, because that could have criminal implications. Northside says this is still an ongoing investigation that Northside Police is looking into. Live in the studio, Jeremy Baker, 10's 5 Eyewitness News.
This is video of Michael King yelling, "I can't breathe," as a man who worked for Dollar General detained him for allegedly trying to shoplift about $46 worth of household items. The incident went on for 9 minutes as the manager watched. It happened at a store in Albany, Georgia.
You also see another employee who we believe was the acting manager walk right by, keep looking, didn't order Mr. Harvey off of Mr. King, and allowed this to happen, which is why this is Dollar General's entire fault.
And this is the result. Today, King's attorney L. Chris Stewart announced a lawsuit for negligence for King's injuries. They say he was sent to the hospital and put on life support.
He had to be sedated, and he was on a ventilator for 9 days. He suffered collapsed lungs and a punctured lung. He had a liver injury.
This was insanity. The screams of "I can't breathe" are all too reminding of what we heard with George Floyd, and it had dire consequences.
The Dollar General's manager is also named in the suit for allegedly closing the doors of the store while it happened.
You can hear the witness describe how the doors were locked to the Dollar General by the manager, not allowing anyone to leave.
The legal team says King still cannot walk after the incident that happened in late October. They're asking Dollar General to withdraw all shoplifting charges against their client.
We now know at least 70
This is
people are
dead in the state after Saturday morning storms. One of those lost was a corrections officer at the Graves County Jail named Robert Daniel. He was...
Our recent crime spree continued when thieves smashed their way into a locally owned sneaker store, stealing more than $40,000 worth of merchandise.
Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter has more on the break-in, including surveillance video of the suspects. Leanne.
The devastated owners and police certainly hoping that that crystal clear surveillance video will be the key to catching those thieves. Another smash and grab robbery, this one targeting a small business in Valencia. Just take a look at that video and you'll see what we're talking about, just how clear it is. The thieves smashing through the glass door of Undisputed Soul in the Westfield Valencia town center. It happened around 3:30 in the morning on Thursday. After breaking inside, one suspect then smashing open the counter, another grabbing as many clothes and skateboards as he could carry, two others running to the back of the store, one filling a bag full of high-end tennis shoes. The owners say the thieves got away with up to $40,000 worth of merchandise, devastating any time for a small business, but especially so during their prime shopping season for the holidays.
It took them like 3 to 4 minutes to get everything. So imagine if I don't have alarm system. Imagine if I don't call 911. Imagine that we're not in the mall. So we probably lose everything we work for the last 20 years.
Devastating for those owners, but they say they have been treated with such generosity and kindness from the community, so much love and support from everyone, they say. But they are hoping that those suspects will be held accountable. The owner says he feels, given in the current climate and the fact that so many of these thieves are released the same day, that they have more rights than the victims themselves. If you have any information on that smash and grab, if you recognize any of those suspects, you're urged to call authorities.
Not one, but two hit-and-run drivers who left the scene of a deadly crash in North Harris County. Deputies tell us one vehicle rear-ended a man on a bicycle, killing him on Ella near West Gulf Bank around 3:20 this morning. That driver did not stop. After that crash, deputies say a second vehicle hit the bicycle and also left the scene. Authorities are looking through surveillance video, hoping that will help them track down who these drivers are. Not one, but
she displayed a handgun in her waistband, and then prior to leaving with the money, after the clerk gave her the money, she threatened the clerk.
Police need your help tracking down a woman who robbed a Circle K in Phoenix with a handgun in her waistband, as you heard. The armed robbery all caught on camera. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 6. Team 12's Trisha Hendricks has the details on how silent witness detectives hope you can help them out.
A woman enters a Circle K near 19th Avenue and Indian School Road at about 8:30 a.m. on November 14th. Silent witness Sergeant Steve Riem walks us through what happened.
She demanded cash from the clerk, and then she asked for more cash. She displayed a handgun in her waistband. Prior to leaving with the money, after the clerk gave her the money, she threatened the clerk.
All of this caught on security cameras, and while the footage does show her actions, it doesn't reveal as much as they'd like.
Her face is partially covered with a mask, and it's hard to see the gun because there's plexiglass in front of her.
Those challenges making it hard to identify suspects in silent witness cases. So Sergeant Riem says they hone in on other specifics.
Tattoos, piercings. In this case, the suspect had braided hair, very long, and then at the end of it was there was highlights.
In this situation, the clerk did exactly what police recommend.
To comply and not resist, but be a good witness, we always say to victims of crimes, and then obviously report it to the police.
They were still able to capture these photos of the woman, photos they hope someone will see and recognize.
It can remain completely anonymous and can receive up to $1,000 reward if an arrest is made.
Sergeant Riem says the woman is about 40 years old. She's described as 5 feet 2 inches tall and 115 pounds with a thin build. She was last seen wearing a black, gray, and white Nike jacket, blue jeans, dark shoes with sunglasses, and a pink face mask. If you know who this woman is or have any information, contact Silent Witness. Trisha Hendricks, 12 News.
We have a lot of breaking news today. Austin police are investigating after a body was found floating in a pond near the Hilton Garden Inn in North Austin. Police said they were called to I-35 Service Road near Palmer Lane around noon. APD said because of the state of the person's body, it will be very difficult to determine if the man's death was suspicious, but they are investigating. We have
in a small town.
A man believed to be around 18 years old died on the south side. Just before 1 a.m., police were called out to a shooting in the 200 block of Briggs Avenue. That's near Southwest Military Drive. That's where officers found the victim in a car with gunshot wounds. Police say he died at the scene and his vehicle had several bullet holes. Police are still searching for those suspects this morning. A man believed...
Sergeant Jason Brown, Harris County Sheriff's Office, Homicide Division. At approximately 11:30 p.m., Harris County Sheriff's Office units were dispatched to the 700 block in Normandy in reference to a shooting. Upon their arrival, they found that a security guard at the location had shot an individual in the parking lot. That individual was pronounced deceased here at the location. Upon investigation, it was determined that the security guard was working for a game room that was here in the strip center. As of right now, we're not sure exactly what the relationship is between the complainant and the location. We don't know if he was a patron at the game room or if he's somebody that's here in the parking lot. But at some point, an altercation took place between that individual and the security guard. And during that altercation, the security guard shot this individual. As of right now, the security guard's been cooperative with homicide. He'll be transported down to the homicide office where he'll get a statement. Once we get a complete picture of what went on out here with the security guard statement as well as several other witness statements, we'll make a determination on whether or not any charges are going to be filed when we consult with the Harris County District Attorney's Office.
A woman on Long Island is facing DWI charges tonight after she crashed into a police car in Suffolk County. Authorities said
tonight, a Mobile woman says she was forced to shoot and kill a loose pit bull that was attacking her dog. It happened last night at an apartment.
Last Friday night, a family of 5 with ties to Fresno were gunned down in Tijuana. 9-year-old Andrew Morales and 8-year-old Ana Marie Morales were brutally murdered, according to their father, Victor. Their mother, Jasmine Hernandez, her husband, Jerry Moreno, and their daughter, Sophia, were also killed.
My first part.
Now, breaking news coming out of North Omaha tonight, where Omaha police are investigating a shooting. 2 people are critically hurt. Good evening, I'm Sarah Feely. This is a live look at that scene. Officers say they found the victims at 30th and Pinckney Streets. That's off Highway 75 near Adams Park. Police say the victims were in a vehicle. They rushed 2 people to the hospital, again critically hurt. They do not know where the suspects were firing from. That call came out just before 9:15. A crew there, obviously, at the scene. You can stay with KDTV.com as we get more updates. Now, breaking news coming out of North Omaha.
And we're following a developing story out of Buffalo tonight. Police are investigating a shooting near a local gas station. Buffalo police say a man was shot just before 8:30 at Seneca and Judith Place. That's the location of this Mobile Minutes. Police say the man was taking ECMC.
Tonight, 2 road construction workers are dead after a car crash near South Austin. CBS Austin's Christian Flores is there with what police say led up to this.
The two workers were putting up road signs in that grassy area over there when the car went off-road. Now, detectives are still investigating, but they are sure of one thing. Speed played a role. Now, TxDOT has been urging drivers to be more careful, especially as we get closer to holidays and there will be more cars on the road. As cars were rushing to work this morning, Austin police detectives believe the driver of this car was speeding before hitting and killing two road construction workers.
So preliminarily, the tracks or the marks left in the roadway from his vehicle, along with witness testimony, are where we've come up with the fact that speed was 100% a factor.
The victims were off the road when they were hit. There have been no arrests yet.
There are two vehicular homicide detectives out, and they will be the ones to make the determination about whether or not we'll be making an arrest in this case.
The two victims were working with a private contractor hired by TxDOT. TxDOT provided a statement mourning their deaths, while also urging drivers to be alert when in construction zones. This is a message they've been pushing as we get closer to the holidays, when more cars are on the road, including during a groundbreaking yesterday.
The second Happy Crab employee accused of selling alcohol to minors involved in a serious crash in Salem has turned himself in. 25-year-old Ji Liamu was a server at...
Now to a story you will only see on 2. This video of a semi-driver taking down signs and plowing into dozens of cars across several miles on the city's southwest side.
He was eventually stopped in suburban Bedford Park. CBS 2 investigator Megan Hickey joins us live in the Cleary neighborhood, where people are still cleaning up the damage tonight. Megan.
Right, Brad and Erica, as you can see, that truck driver took down this street sign, which ironically bans cars over 5 tons from coming down this street. Now, he continued down Normandy, where he crashed into a line of vehicles, and all of that was captured on camera.
But there were still cars on the road, but not as busy as it normally would be.
At daybreak, the